The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. We have quite a show today. Everything, Holly, from brain rot to Black Friday to crash test dummies and all points in between. A lot going on. A lot happened over the weekend. Let's start with this brain rot because it sounds, maybe it sounds to me worse than it is. Maybe it is as bad as it sounds.
So it's interesting to me, brain rot was selected last year as the Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year, and it really is used to define perceived mental deterioration from over-consuming low-quality content. So basically junk food for the brain, like short-form videos that you find on TikTok and on Instagram. So there was a meta-analysis done by the American Psychological Association, and what that means is they looked at multiple studies done by other people. So this analysis looked at 71 studies and had almost 100,000 participants in it to look at how these short-form videos are affecting our brains.
So that would be a significant study and a series of studies. You would expect that
they're analyzing the studies. It's a study of the studies, right? And they're cross-comparing findings and what they found was that it does in fact affect our brains and in negative ways, right? Over consuming these short form videos.
Yeah, and I was interested in that because the short form video is I guess what TikTok and what these are about. You just boom, 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 these little.
An Instagram reel has to be less than 60 seconds, and on TikTok you can do slightly longer form. But I'm using those short form videos to just do a brief summary every day of what we talk about on our show, right? So you can consume my content, but these short form videos can really impact.
I wonder what it is about
brains.
The short form video. Just that your brain doesn't have time to sort of get up to speed on it, or there's nothing significant there. It's just one little blip of information, then you go to another one, and your brain's just not.
That's an interesting question, and I'm not sure if they addressed the why. They probably do, at least in some studies, but I can tell you that some of the impacts that people have found with these consumption of these videos, first of all, a lot of it, they say, is just low-quality content, right? It's just not that interesting. It's not that educational. It's really low quality. But it's finding lower attention spans. It's finding even lower self-esteem and mental health, right? So if you're seeing these curated videos all the time talking about this ideal body type or the way you take care of your skin, even as a 10-year-old, that can have negative impacts.
Yeah, it's interesting. They found that heavy short-form video consumption, in other words, seeing a lot of short-form videos, is directly associated with diminished cognitive functions, particularly a person's ability to pay attention and control their inhibitions. And in younger and older age groups, it also is tied to poorer attention spans. The poor attention span makes sense because there is no attention span to a 15 to 30
It's
second.
the constant dopamine hits, right? So it's interesting that it's not just in young people. These impacts affect older people too, who are either doing doom scrolling, right, or just this consumption. One of the numbers that I saw that was pulled out is that the younger people who are using this are spending 6.5 hours a day watching these videos. That is an entire school day, at least in elementary school, 6.5 hours a day.
I wonder if brain rot is something that is reversible. I mean, is this something that is just affecting a person while they're watching it and shortly thereafter, or is this something that forever changes your brain?
I think it's not forever, right? I mean, there's always opportunities to learn, but one of the things that happens is you stop being able to do things like understand a book that you're reading or doing problem solving or what people call deep learning, right? Because you're not used to being able to spend so much time concentrating on something. So reading a physical book is different than watching these
a
videos.
30-second video, and then
Yeah.
you're on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Because there's almost no way you can read unless it's a joke book or something.
Right.
30-second vignettes here or there, and moving on to the next one. And if you did, it wouldn't mean much to you anyway. That's an interesting study, and I guess the more I'm hearing about it and learning about it, even from you, the more I am not surprised
Right.
at this kind of. But so what do you do? I mean, I guess as a parent, you should be
You
aware
get
of
off.
this, and you tell your kids or your
Yeah.
friends, even adult friends,
Yeah.
you can't just spend your day staring at these
Or-
videos.
So we know that there's sleep impacts too. If you're spending too much time on social media right before you go to bed, that it can impact your sleep in negative ways. I have several friends, unnamed, that they scroll TikTok before they go to bed, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the way they feel like they de-stress and have downtime. But it does have negative impacts.
It probably has just the opposite impact.
It
It's
probably does.
not the thing you need to do.
So it's this brain rot it's interesting, right? Because you kind of joke about it and just say, oh, it's like junk food for the brain. But just like eating too much junk food for your body, it's not healthy and it's not good for you, and it has real impacts. So the study is actually called Feeds, Feelings, and Focus. And then it's a systematic review and meta-analysis examining the cognitive and mental health correlates of short-form video use, right? Because it's an academic study, so of course they have to use big words and a big title. But really, it's this look at 71 different studies with almost 100,000 users.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that they use the word brain rot, although maybe it's right, but it's sort of defined as the reducing a person's attention span and the ability to use critical thinking, which contributes to what they call brain rot. I mean, it's frightening, really. You think about it. Not surprising, but the more I'm reading about these findings and the significant number of individuals tested, a lot of studies coming to similar conclusions on each one. I mean, young people and maybe even our legislators and regulators need to take a look at this and say, hey, wait a minute, are we really doing the right thing here?
In a related note, there are 2 countries that are now banning social media use for anyone under age 16. Australia is one of them. I'm going to have to think about the other one. I think it's an African country, but there are 2 countries completely banning social media for anybody under age 16. But there's a related study. We only have about a minute left, but there's a related study in the New York Times where the New York Times is writing about it from MIT, where students using Chat GPT to write a paper. Right, one of the things that these researchers found is Chat GPT can help spit out a paper, but they didn't learn anything. They cannot even repeat back part of their
own paper,
of
right.
their own paper,
Yeah.
right? So there's they just cannot they can't do it. And even if you use the search engine like Google search, they could do a tiny bit, but of course if they write it themselves, then they can tell you, yeah, this is this part, and this is this part, and this is what I found. So this brain rot can impact people in a bunch of different ways. So